Chris Petrie here. Welcome everybody. It's the Extreme Beginner series here, and we're doing a beautiful landscape scene. So in this scene, we're going to have a barn, trees, a distant horizon line, fence posts, a road, and also some trees in the sides of the painting over by the border of the rectangle on the left-hand side, and some more distant trees on the right-hand side over here. So you're going to see how we're going to create all these wonderful components to our painting. Mix the colors. You're going to see the design, where to draw the lines, where to put the barn. We're going to cover all of the whole enchilada of how to create this painting, so you don't have to worry. It's a composition too, so you're not trying to create a masterpiece where we're going to put this in a museum or anything like that. We're still, all of us are working at our paintings to get better, and that's why I'm here to try to help you to become better at your paintings and just cover the basics of it. And once you have the basics and you're doing that over and over and over again, you'll be able to create beautiful paintings. Simple as that. So that's my goal, to get you painting really well with your watercolors, so that you're not asking a lot of questions and not getting answers, or you're not sure of how this watercolor thing works. I'm going to show you and demonstrate and do all these tutorials over and over again until you really feel like you understand everything at a basic level and you're able to just branch out and do your own thing as an artist. And so that's why I'm here. So let's get started in just a second. Again, we'll do the pencil drawing next. This is the finished painting. You can work from this too if you want. You can hit pause and work from this if you want, or you can just continue on through the video, and you'll see how we put all this together. Chock full of nuts information here on my channel, and I'm so excited you're here. And if you're here for the first time especially, thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate it, and you're going to be really excited and happy about painting in watercolors. It's going to be that joyful thing in your life that you have. It's the basics of it. When I started painting watercolors and really started working at it, that became the joy and the happiness and the juice of my life. And I want you to have the same thing too, because we all have stresses, right? So let's not get worried about all those things, the stresses of life and all the things that bother us. Once you start drawing and painting in watercolor and you start learning all these methods and techniques, it's going to take you away from all that, and you'll be concentrated on this. And this is something that you'll really be able to have fun with, enjoy, and not worry so much about some of the other stuff, at least for a little while. So if you spend a little couple hours here and there every week working on your watercolors, that's going to be a couple hours where you have your own peaceful time, where you're on your own, doing your thing with your watercolors, and you can have that peaceful time where you can enjoy the fun of this. And that's what I'm saying. Have fun with this. Don't stress over it. You're going to have some crummy paintings, especially if you're just starting out. I used to have tons of crummy paintings. I think I'm going to put them on. I can't even find them. I think I threw them out. I threw out my old paintings years ago because I was frustrated years ago. But I kept painting and kept working at it. So keep working at it. Have fun. You're going to make a lot of crummy paintings on the way, but trust me, if you just keep going one step at a time, you'll have a lot of fun at it, and you'll just stick with us here. We're going to have a great time, and you can check out all the people here that have been with us for a long time now on my channel. In the comments section, you'll see plenty of people that have been here a long time. They comment on all the work we're doing here, and we have a lot of fun, so that's the main thing. Enjoy, stick with us here. We have a lot of fun. We're just doing our paintings, going over the basics of it every day, every week, every month, every year. And we eventually will get better paintings as we go. So we'll be right back. We'll start the pencil drawing, and I'll, again, give you all the oodles of details that you need to get this painting done, okay? All right, so we'll be right back. All right, we saw the finished painting, everybody. So we're just going to get started here. We're going to do our pencil sketch. And as we always try to do, we kind of lay out our pencil sketch here with our rectangle first. So we get our rectangle shape here with our pencil. That's the first thing we want to do. Okay, so we outline we have tape on here, so we just put down some artist tape, some drafting tape, some trim tape you might find at the big box stores, wherever, whatever you want to do, you get some of that low tack tape, which means it comes up real easy. So when you kind of peel it, it comes right up. You wouldn't want to use duct tape or anything like that. You want to use artist tape, drafting tape, and they make this stuff. Again, you can buy it at the big box stores. They come in different colors, basically like trim tape. They also call it delicate surface tape. Scotch makes a delicate surface tape. That works great. Won't harm your paper at all when you peel it up. So that's just the main idea here, is taping around our border of our watercolor paper. And then we kind of notice, well, what size paper are we using here? Let's measure and just see what our working rectangle is. That's about a 6 by 8. So we're working on a 6 by 8 rectangle. Watercolor paper, you can use any watercolor paper you want. The more quality paper you use, the easier and more working time you'll have with your painting when you're doing watercolors, so you'll have more working time. And again, this is the Extreme Beginner series, so you're not going to go out and buy all that fancy stuff, the fancy brushes and paints and all that. Buy something like student grade watercolor paper and you're going to be fine. That's all you need is student grade paper, you're set. I happen to use the Strathmore watercolor paper. It's got a yellow cover on it. It's a pad of paper. It's got a yellow cover on it. Strathmore is the brand. So let's start out our misty, interesting landscape painting we're going to do here. So I'm going to look at this and say, well, let's go a third. Third is going to be the bottom. So we're just looking at breaking up our rectangle into thirds. 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So the bottom first third, that's going to be our like horizon line, our landscape here, where we're going to see most of our interesting information. And then up here we'll do our sky washes, and we should get this painting done pretty quickly, maybe like a half an hour, 45 minutes, and we'll have a beautiful painting here. So the first thing we'll do is let's draw in our barn, and you can kind of see I did create that line, and that's the 1/3 mark. So you got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So 1/3 up is our horizon line, and the rest is going to be sky wash up here. And then we're going to do maybe a barn here. Let's do a barn. Simple. You can do a rectangle like this, like that. So you do a rectangle just like this, and then you could look at this as like a brick shape, a rectangle like a brick, or you could maybe like a tissue box if there's some tissues in there. So if you see things as shapes, you can kind of get a feel for it a little bit better sometimes. So I'm thinking of a brick or a tissue box, something like that. That's our barn, and then we'll put a roof on it like that. And that's just basically another rectangle, except I put a little bit of an angle on these because on the ends, that's the roof, so it angles up a little bit. And maybe we have some barn vents on top. Usually the barns have vents on top for the heat, so the heat can escape from the inside of the barn if there's hay in there and animals and everything like that. If it's hot out, they need to vent out a little bit. So we have that there. So we have our little barn here. And we'll just leave that as it is. And then maybe we'll do a tree over here. So I'm just going to do a couple branches. No big deal. Some branches here. And a trunk. So we'll do a trunk and a trunk over here. And maybe this one's a little thicker. And I'll do the branches for the trees. And just a little bit of a shape up here for the tops of the branches, where the tops of the leaves are. So you kind of see how I did a little shape of just a little outline of the trees up here. You're going to have fun with this, and And then we're going to make our next tree trunk a bit away from the barn. So we did the barn over here, and we're actually going to make it a little more distant. Let's make another line here for a distant field. So we're going to actually add an additional horizon line. So just go up a little bit from your original line where the bottom of your barn is here. Just go up a little bit. Maybe the thickness of a pencil, like that, thickness of the pencil, and you make another horizon line here. And that'll be a distant field. And then we'll make another tree over here, and we'll set it a little bit over to the left over here. So you can kind of see I'm moving this other tree trunk here just a little bit away from the barn, and just a couple more. And again, I'll make another bit of outline for the trees. And then over here, we're going to have some distant trees, like this. And you just have some fun. Make some tree shapes, just straight lines going up, and then some branches on angles like that. And that's really it. Now in the foreground here, we'll make a couple bits of, I don't know, some weeds and things like that. So just to make a little bit of interesting shapes, and it's the foreground, so we're going to see that. And then maybe we'll make a little road here, across this way. Just like that. So this is like a beautiful road going into the scene. Once over here, like this, an angle over here, just about touching the edge of the paper. Across here, and then across back to this area. And that kind of gives us a little bit of a movement, a bit of a movement in the painting, so you can kind of see some angles leading your eye into the painting. So if you're actually walking into this painting, you're going to walk in like this, onto this road. You're going to walk in and then go over here, and then you might, you're going to look around here. There's some trees over here. There's some distant trees over here. And you might look at the barn over here, and the trees over here. And then by that time, you've had a wonderful time, like kind of meandering around the painting, and we created that feeling by just adding some angles in here with this road. And I'll put a couple barn windows over here, like so. And then I think that's good. All right, so you're going to see how simple this is. We're doing a beautiful landscape scene here. We're doing a barn, some trees. We're going to do a little road going into the scene, so it leads your eye into the scene. Your attention, your consciousness is going to say, ooh, wow, a road, look at that. You're going to start walking into the scene. You're going to feel like you're actually there, and that's what you want your viewer to feel like. You want your viewer that's going to view your painting to feel like they're taking a walk in the landscape and into the beautiful farm scene here, and walking around and kind of leading them into your painting and into your barn area here and your trees. And you'll trust me, this is really going to work well. You're going to have a good composition here with this style layout with your trees and your road and your barn and other things here. So let's stick with this. I think this works really good. You're going to have fun with this. And especially, too, if you're just starting out in watercolor, you'll learn the basics of it here just by trying out a simple composition like this. But it really is a beautiful composition, and this will work every time. So whenever you're doing a watercolor painting, you can always think to yourself, how am I going to lead the viewer into my painting? You might want a little road going in, a little path. Stuff like that really makes a big impact in your painting. So let's keep that in mind. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll start painting. Okay, that's the main thing, is let's take a quick break. I always like to take breaks, you know, in between drawing and painting, and then we can start up again. But this is really fun. Let's remember that watercolor is all about fun. Let's have fun with our painting. We don't want to stress over this. If it doesn't come out good this time, try another one right after it. And if that one doesn't come out good, try a third or fourth one or fifth one. Try maybe, you know, just doing the barn and one tree. If you might find that it's overwhelming to do too many trees in here and too much information, maybe just break it down and make it just maybe one barn and one tree, and then one path going in, one road going into this. So it's all up to you. Keep working at it. You're going to do fine. You're the artist. You have to remember, when you're starting out, especially in watercolor, it's difficult. So if you want to make your life easier, you can always make it a little bit more simple, so you don't have to do as much information. You can just maybe do a barn with one tree, or, you know, maybe two trees over here. We'll leave this other information out, and make your composition smaller if you want to. Okay, I just want to make it easier for you, so you don't get too worried about having to do this like giant painting with everything perfect and all that. Don't worry about that. You're just doing compositions. You know, compositions in the beginning are the way you want to go. You just want to be trying out the different subject matter we have. So that's the main thing. When you first start out in watercolor, it's all about research and learning and growing and doing small compositions and learning small parts of larger paintings. Learn trees first, then maybe learn a couple barns, and then maybe learn some sky washes. Do a little bit at a time, break it down into smaller pieces if you have to. So if you're having a hard time doing 3 or 4 different parts to your painting, then just try 1 or 2 parts. That's what I'm saying. And that's how I started, and that's how I progressed, because in the beginning, I got overwhelmed too. I started trying to do these big paintings with all this subject matter in there, and barns and trees and rocks and skies and fields and roads, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was, you know, and then it looked terrible. I was doing terrible looking paintings until I started to break things down and make things smaller and try smaller parts first, get those working good for you, and then you work on the bigger paintings. So no worries. Start with maybe just a barn and 1 tree or 2 trees, and that's it. Then you maybe try a road or 2, and then some more bushes and trees over here, and maybe try out some skies, 3 or 4 different sky washes. And again, experiment, don't worry about it. And we're going to come back here in just a second and do some watercolor washes, and we'll show you how we're going to do this. And we're going to do this in the glazing technique. So you're going to learn in just a second how you're going to do the glazing technique, which will help you tremendously. When you're doing watercolors, the glazing technique is going to be a phenomenal help to you. So we're going to show you how that will enhance your learning abilities as you do your watercolors by using glazing. Okay, so we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we're going to start doing our washes right now. So I have fresh, clean water in my watercolor bucket. My water bucket here. All you need is a bucket and some clean water, and you're all set. Okay, now we said we're going to do the glazing technique, and this is really fun. You're going to enjoy this. It takes a little bit of patience, because once we do this first wash over this painting, we're going to have to let it dry. So I hope you'll be able to have patience with this, and after that you're going to be fine. So we're going to do purple first. So you're going to use your Paintng Oval 16 semi-moist watercolor paints here. If you have different paints, that's fine. Just kind of, you can follow along. We're doing different, you know, the different colors of the sky. Purple first, and then we're going to have some cerulean blue type color. That's the second color here. If you're using your Paintng colors, you'll know which color I'm referring to. It's like a cerulean blue. Okay, so you have cerulean blue there. You have some purple up here. Then you're also going to take some orange up here and some yellow. We're going to make sort of a orangey yellow type wash like that, almost like a yellow ochre or raw sienna. If you follow along on my normal videos on my regular channel. So we're doing beginners here, so if you're just beginning, just remember you're going to be just kind of focusing in on what colors I'm using. So I'm just using lemon yellow, that lemony yellow, and a little bit of that orange, light orange, more of a lighter orange. This is more of a darker orange here, so we're not really going to go into that too much. We're just going to kind of stick to the lemony yellow and the lighter orange, and then we have a little bit of a kind of like a yellow ochre or raw sienna look, and then maybe a little bit of red up here. We'll do a little bit of red, just a tiny bit of red we're going to add to this. And then we're going to do fresh clean water, and we're just going to cover the paper with a light wash of fresh clean water. Now what we're not going to do is keep flooding the paper with tremendous amounts of water. We're just going to do a light coating of fresh clean water. So you just want to coat it one time as if you were doing a painting. Maybe you were, if you've ever painted, you know, if you're just got a new apartment or new house and you're going to go in there and you're starting to paint it and paint the rooms and the walls, you're just going to go over with one coat, just like that. Just a good one coat, not going over, you know, over and over it. Just one coat to dampen the whole paper. Go right across the whole paper, and then you're all set. Now you're ready to start putting in your colors. Let's get that purple color first. Like this. Just easy, put it on nice and easy, right? Don't stress. Flow it on nice. Leave some whites and different happenings going there. You don't want to just cover it and keep going over and over it. Let it kind of happen there. You want it to be a little darker at the top. That always looks better if you can get a little darker at the top of the sky, and then let it get lighter as it goes down, like that. Then we're going to grab a little bit of that golden color. Put a little bit of that golden color in there. Rinse off your brush, and then kind of ease that golden color down into the wash here, like that. Then we're going to get some of that cerulean blue and go down here. And we can go right over that barn. That's fine. With that cerulean blue. Can you see that? We're just kind of washing the colors down the page, down the paper. Purple up top. A little bit of that golden color in the center here over the tops of the barn. Some cerulean blue, that cerulean blue, or that kind of that turquoise blue a little bit, like this. And then we'll go back in with some more golden color here for the foreground, for the closest areas to us. So what we're doing is we're creating a first glazing over the whole entire paper to give it a beautiful wash of very, very light color. And that's all we're doing. You can see that, right? Then we'll get a little bit of that red. The thing is with the red, try to get that in there right away, quickly. And then down here a little bit too. Like that. And that's all we need to do. Now, this has to dry 100%, so either you can do two things. You can walk away right now and take a break for about an hour. It should dry about in an hour's time, where it's dry enough that you can come back and start doing your trees in your barn. If you don't want to wait 1 hour, you can also use a hair dryer, like a blow dryer, a hair dryer, and you can dry this off really quickly in about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll be dry enough that you can go back in and start doing your washes over the top. Now, if you're beginning, you know, if you're an extreme beginner, you're just starting out, feel free to use the blow dryer, the hair dryer. That's fine because you're doing compositions a lot. You're not trying to create this great painting that you're going to put in a museum or anything like that. You're not at that level yet. You might get there, but until you can create beautiful paintings, you have to start out doing your compositions first. So don't worry. You're the artist. You have to. You realize this. It's going to take a little bit of time to get your paintings looking great. So what you do first is you just do compositions. That means you're not worried too much if you're using a blow dryer to dry things off. But if you're in a couple years from now, you'll remember me saying this in a couple years from now when you're doing a lot better paintings and you might be doing a little show or a gallery or putting your paintings in for competition. You might say to yourself, oh, I remember Chris said, let the paintings dry naturally and don't use a blow dryer or a hair dryer if you're going to be really putting it into, something, where you're going to be putting it into a gallery or a showing or trying to sell it, or if you're making a painting for someone, like you're doing someone has hired you to do a painting for them. Well, then you let it dry naturally. Walk away for an hour and then come back. It looks a little better. When the final painting is completed, it'll look better if it dries naturally. That's all I'm saying here. Just a little tidbit of information. I'm always trying to give you all the chock full of nuts information. I hope you don't mind. I do that because I want you to have the best information you can have. So always remember, drying naturally is much better. But if you're just doing composition and you're just starting out, no worries. Grab a blow dryer, dry it out quick, and then come back and you start your washes if you're really excited about starting up again and getting your painting going again and working on your subsequent washes. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a blow dryer quick once I shut the camera off, and we'll come right back and it'll already be dry and we'll start up again. Okay, so give me a second here. I'm going to get my blow dryer and dry this off a little bit. I don't want to make all that noise and make a lot of noise on my camera here and on our video. So I'll do the drying and then I'll come back, okay? And I'll take a quick break too. I might grab a cup of coffee, and I just had dinner a couple hours ago, so it's perfect time for some coffee. And we'll see you in just a second, okay? All right, see you in a second. All right, we're starting back up again. We're going to get painting. I used a hair dryer, dried this off, and now you can see I can rub my hand across this painting and it's perfectly dry, no smudges, no nothing. There's no shine on this paper. That's a good way you can always tell when your watercolor paper has dried. There'll be no shine or no gloss to your paper. It'll look almost like dry paper. And that's exactly how you want it to look when you start painting again. So we'll start out with some darker washes now. So we're going to start mixing some different colors that are going to blend in nice with what we did originally. So let's go with some brown mixed in with that purple. And then we're going to do that. Let's do some brown and that purple mix, and we'll do the darker, the roof of our barn here. That looks pretty good. Look at that. Wow. So already we're starting out in a real positive fashion. We just added some brown to that purplish mix we had mixed for the sky. And then we have our roof. And we'll put our vents on the top of the roof, like so. Let's do some trunks of the trees here. We'll do the same color, brown with the purple mix, and maybe a little bit of orange mixed in with that. A little more purple there. And let's just try to. We're using our number 6 Simmons, Simply Simmons round brush. I use this a lot, as you know. And there's also the brush that we use with that comes with our Paintng set. This is also a good brush for fine details, so you can use whatever brushes you have on hand. And I just went over this with a little more darker wash like that. And then we're going to do our couple branches, like that. Just some simple, and that's all you have to do. Couple branches, your tree trunk, and a couple branches branching out like so. And then we're going to show you in just a second how we're going to do leaves on these branches, on these trees. So we're going to do the branches first, a little bit darker, like so. Like this. Like that. Okay. So we have our tree trunks in, and with some branches going up from the tree trunk. We have the roof completed. So already we're making good progress here. Let's see here what we can do. Let's take some of that golden color, mix in some brown with the gold, and we're going to do some of the barn colors here. I'll just go right across, like that. Okay, so now we have that beautiful barn color. Purple, a little bit of darker purple. Let's maybe see if we can do a shadow into here a little bit. That looks good. Okay, now we'll start mixing in a little bit of the greens. Let's use the two greens that we have up here. Mix in a little bit of the brown with those greens. And I'm going to put a little bit of those greens into the barn. And then we're going to take our brush and just scrub on some color in a circular fashion like this. Make circular, tap a little bit with your finger, circular, tap with the finger a little bit. You can take a tissue if you want. So we're going to make a little more green here. Green, light green, dark green, a little bit of brown. Let's get some interesting leaf colors, and then we're going to take the brush, dry off a little bit of the paint off there so there's not too much paint on it, on the brush, and then just do circular patterns like this. And don't fill in everything. Leave some light paper behind there, and then you can see you have a nice tree effect with leaves and some air showing through. This way the birds can fly through the trees. They need some areas to fly through. Remember that when you're doing your trees, and you'll be fine. Let's add a little bit of blue, maybe. So you can add a little bit of that blue color, maybe. Just dab on a couple darker bits of... And the same thing over here. Brown, greens and brown, a little bit. And you just do a little bit of scrubbing, do the circular pattern, and then just scrub on there, and then maybe do a couple dabs with your finger. But don't fill it all in. Leave paper, light paper underneath it. Can you see how I'm doing that? Leave some lights in there. Don't fill in the whole thing with paint, and then you have it. And you do a couple little spots up top like this. Like that. It looks much better than trying to just fill the whole thing in like a solid block of color. That doesn't look good. And you can make it darker. You can make it darker inside like this, and then lighter. On the tops of the trees, it's lighter. It's darker underneath the trees where there's more shadows. That's all you have to remember there. Darker underneath the underneath parts of the tree, it's darker. So you add a little more blue and purple. And the tops of the trees are lighter. That's all. And you can even use some finger painting, dab in some spots here and there. That's not going to hurt anything to do it that way. Gives you some good textures. You can even splash a little bit. Take some. Have you ever seen anybody splash on watercolor before? It's pretty fun. You just grab your brush, load it up with paint and water, and just splash it on there. Swing, take the brush and kind of swing it towards the paper, and at the same time you tap on the brush. And if that doesn't work, you can always grab a pencil, use the pencil, and then tap your brush on the pencil. Or you can even use your finger. That's even the same thing. You can take your finger and tap your finger. The only thing, when you use your hand and just tap like this, it tends to stay a little bit more closer to the spot where you're aiming it. But in any case, if you have a little bit of overspray, you just blot it up with a tissue like that, and that's fine. If you have a little bit of speckles here and there, that's fine. It looks good. Watercolor looks great if you have variety. If you have just plain spots of color everywhere and you don't have any variety, that's going to look boring. So always remember that. That's a good thing if you have variety in your paintings. So let's go back in here, brown and some of that blue, maybe a little bit of green, and we'll do some of these trees over here. That's all we do, some bushes and trees in the distance here. A little bit of finger painting, a little bit of splashing. Maybe a little bit of golden colors, brown. Let's not make it all one color. So we had some browns, orange, splash in some orange there. A little bit of yellow. Golden color. There we go. Let's use that golden brown color too. Let's add some field. This is a field over here. Okay, so now we have our field in here with some of that brownish gold color. And we are coming along nicely here. So we have our barn, a couple trees alongside the barn. I splash to get my colors in there and texture in there, so I don't want to have it if you don't feel comfortable doing splashes, don't do it. That's all right. You don't have to do it. And we had some trees over here too, some bushes and things. Okay. And now let's mix up some more greens. Greens and yellows. And let's start getting those in. Don't take too much time, just get them in there. These washes with the greens and the golds. Scrub them on in there, leave some white bits of paper. There we go. Again, your greens and your golds, we mixed up that yellowy, the lemony yellow, brown in there, greens over here. And you're just trying to get some greens and golds over here, greens and yellows. Maybe you make your more lemony yellow colors closer over here. Maybe a little bit of the greens and yellows mixed into this over here too, if you have some time and you want to put some color over there too. That looks good. Maybe a little more blue in the distance here. So you add some blue into this. If you go over a part, lift it up like that. And there we have it. Look at this. We've got a beautiful painting shaping up here. Blue, purple, and brown. And I'm just going to add a little bit of darks over here. And you can see my method was to try to add darks on the underside of the tree, in the center of the tree closest to the trunks. And also I added some darks over here on these bushes and trees over here on the side of the painting over here on the left side. And you can see how that really works good. It gives you that feeling of shadow underneath the trees and the light is coming from above. And then you can kind of see the trees having the light on top of the trees where it's lighter. And you can always add a little shadow underneath the trees too. Like that, you could add a little shadow there. And I think that's fine. And then, you know, if you want to go a little bit extra, we'll let this dry and maybe we'll do a little bit of some weeds maybe over here and maybe some fence posts. Fence posts are always really good to kind of give you the feeling of three-dimensional quality to your painting. So we'll do that too. We'll take a little bit of, while we're still here, let's take some brown and purple and make sort of a darkish color. And let's put in some windows here. These are the windows on the barn. So you just put in some random windows, maybe a door over here too. Let's make this one a door. Like that. And you can lift up a little paint here. Perfect. Okay. Let's let this dry a little bit, maybe for 10 or 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, or if you want to use the hair dryer, we can even come back faster, and we'll do some fence posts, and we'll do a little more weeds, and then we'll be all set. We'll have this gorgeous landscape completed. I hope you're going to try this, have fun, and enjoy the process of doing a landscape. And if you're just beginning, you always remember we're doing the glazing technique, which is simple. You get your first wash, very, very light wash on the whole paper done, complete. Let it dry, and then you come back and you do your darker colors over the top. And then you have it really, that's the simple formula for success with glazing technique. Light wash first, over the top with your darker washes second, and then you're all set. and then you just finish up your details. Once you have your main subject matter in there on the paper, then we'll go in and we'll show you how adding these last bit of details with some more paint, some darker paint, thicker paint, less water. We'll show you the details, how it really makes everything look absolutely beautiful and finished. So you'll have a finished composition, and then you'll move on to your next one, and you'll take all these ideas and just roll it on to the next one, okay? All right, so I'm going to be right back. And if I didn't mention to you, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. I don't want you to lose track of my channel here and what I'm doing, my watercolor painting. So if you're just brand new and this is the first time you've been on my channel here and you're watching my videos, welcome. Thank you for coming by. I'm really excited that you're actually coming by and painting with us. We're here every week painting watercolors. Everything is watercolor here, and we're just covering the techniques over and over, the same basic techniques that are going to make your watercolors look great. You'll really learn a lot. And again, the key is repetition is the mother of skill. That's the basic idea of things. If you're repeating things over and over and over and over again, you'll learn it, and it'll be just a part of your process that you do. So that's why I do the same methods and techniques over and over and over again, so that you learn them and you'll have fun and you'll start to really master the watercolor technique, because it's really just about using certain methods and processes. And once you learn them and you do them over and over and over again, it'll be part of your technique, part of your way that you work, and you'll have good success. And that's my main goal, is that you're going to have good paintings, and you'll be happy if you're creating nice looking paintings. That's the main thing I want. So we'll come back in just a second. And again, I forgot to mention, if you want to subscribe, down below on the right hand side here, there's the subscribe button. And all it does, if you hit that subscribe button, it's that red button there that says subscribe. All it does is just let you know that we're making a new video. So if you hit subscribe, next week when we make a new video, it'll just alert you on your YouTube channel saying Chris just made a new video, and then you can jump along in and watch what we're doing and grab your paints and your pencils and your paper and work along with us. That's all it does. There's no other catch to it. It's just, if you subscribe, you'll be alerted that we're making a new video, and you'll always know when our new videos are coming out, and you'll always have that in your YouTube channel coming in, so that you don't lose track of our channel and what we're doing here. So that's all. So if you subscribe down below, absolutely fantastic, and it helps me too. As an artist on YouTube, if you're subscribing, that means it's helping me as an artist, and you'll be happy, because then I'm going to be excited, and I'll be back again over and over and over again here on this channel. Okay, so I'll be right back. We'll do our finishing touches to this painting, and you'll see how beautiful it looks once we add a few more exciting details to this. Okay, so we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to come back here and do some final details. You'll see how good this is going to look. We're going to take some brown and purple. And again, here you can kind of see I'm not using much water, just almost straight paint here. Brown and purple, maybe a little touch of green, like that, a little bit of green. A little bit of orange, darker orange there maybe, just to get that a little bit of red. Brown. There we go. So now we have a nice dark that we're going to do some details with. We're going to take our, so we get some dark on here, almost no water. Can you see that? Can you see that? There's no puddles of water in here. It's almost straight paint. Straight paint, no water, just a touch of water. A little bit of dampness on your brush is all you need to get your paints out here. And you can see that's not like this. Can you see how this is not like this? Like that puddly color like this in wash? It's not like this. Dry off your brush. And you can see that's just dark, rich paint right from the palette, not much water at all, and that's going to give you your darks. You tap off a little bit of paint on your tissue, and we're going to do some posts here. So let's do some posts. One post there. Fired in. And we're having a good time. So watch me do this here. I'm getting them in, these fence posts. Then I dry off my brush even more, so I have barely any paint whatsoever left on the brush, but it's still there. And that's how we do these little bits of Can you see that? And we'll just leave the fence posts on this side. We're not going to put any over here. I think we'll leave that side okay. We don't need any there. Okay, and then we rinse off our brush. And maybe we make a lighter color. Just take a little bit of that dark and mix it in with the blue. Maybe a little bit of the gold too. Just make a lighter color. Dry off your brush on the tissue. And then pick up some of that lighter color, and we'll do some very, very light wires over here. Some barbed wires. And just kind of, flow them onto the page. Don't get worried. All you need is a few. Like that. Doesn't that look great? That really draws your eye into the painting. Maybe again you take some darker darks, dry it off on the tissue, and you're maybe going to make a little bit of a shadow. Maybe a little bit of a shadow under there, under the and then we'll do just a couple hash marks. Don't just add a little bit of dark to maybe a spot here and there, like that. So this way it kind of feels like it's hit and miss. You don't want it to go. You don't want dark lines the whole way through. You want a little bit of dark lines, a little bit of light lines. Light lines, a little bit of the darks. You can add a little bit of that dark here, like that. Just like that. And that's all we need. If you find that your trees are looking maybe not as lively and green as you like, add some gold to it. Let's take some lemony yellow gold. Splash on some lemony orangey gold onto your trees if you want to make them look a little more warmer looking. I think that's what I'm thinking about here, is maybe it needs to be a little warmer. So I'll just infuse a little bit of that golden orangey color. Maybe more toward the tops of the trees. And I even take some of that orangey yellow and just fuse it into the roof. Maybe there's some more yellow and golden colors over here. I would say leave this area over here on the left a little more cooler colors, not as much your exciting colors are going to want to be in this area here. So you can even take some of that orange, put a little bit in the roof, over here. So now you're adding in some more exciting colors. Maybe some orange down here too on the field area, on the grass. And what you can do is actually draw your viewer's eyesight into this area here with that more high intensity color. And you can just see I'm blending it all in together. Maybe these are fall colors. Maybe this is a fall, autumn type scene, and you add more colors to it. But I guess what I wanted to do here was to add a little more exciting colors to the area where the barn is and the trees over here. So that it looks a little more exciting in this central area of the painting. Same thing here. And I can carry that idea right over through here. And then I just drag some paint with a very, very dry brush. I drag some of that orange paint across, like that. Just have a little bit across the roadway here. And I think that looks pretty good. So have fun with this. It's a great composition. I'm so happy you're here painting along. This is the Extreme Beginner series where we're doing a lot of fun, exciting compositions. This time we happen to be doing a barn. Next week we'll be doing flowers maybe, or a boat scene, or something else. But we're always doing the same techniques, the same methods, so that you learn them over and over again. And then you can see here, I'm not being as careful with my tape. So you want to be careful when you peel off your tape. I'm doing it a little bit quickly here, and you can see I just ruined some of the side of my painting here. I am sorry about that. But once you pick out maybe a couple mats, let's see if we can do this here. Let's take this like so. And we'll put a mat over it, like that. There you go. See that? Doesn't that look wonderful? So that's all you have to do is you can take a mat and put it over the top of your painting, and if you have a little problem on the side of your painting where you peeled off a little bit of the tape didn't come off, that's not a problem. You just put a mat over the top of that and it looks beautiful because you've just eliminated that issue, and you have a beautiful painting. There we go. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye for now, but we're going to be back very, very soon. Before you know it, we'll be back again painting. And again, if you're brand new at painting, welcome. Thanks for coming by. And you can also jump in on the other videos that I create that are more advanced painting for people that are more advanced with watercolors. They've been painting many years. We do those videos as well. Jump in on those, watch them at least, try little bits and pieces of them if you want to. Get familiar with what I'm talking about. It's pretty much the same thing. We're going over the same techniques, same methods. It's going to all be to your benefit if you're learning and watching and kind of following along with what we're doing on the more advanced paintings. But this painting here is a wonderful, fun painting to do if you're just starting out. A nice barn, some trees in the countryside here, a little road going into the scene, some fence posts to kind of lead your eye into the painting. just a wonderful design here to get you started. And we'll be back very, very soon. Again, thanks so much for stopping by, and happy painting, everybody.